The two planes America flies into the eye of a hurricane were built in the 1970s. This week, the Senate finally asked what happens when they wear out.
Plus, a state that just made lunch cheaper for the kids who pay full price, and a genuinely strange vote about polar bears. From amendment, this is the 10th.
Tick, 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 tock, lights on, this is our sound. 10 voices rising, shaking the ground. From the street to the steps where the deals go down. Welcome to the 10th now. The 10th, hey! Turn it up right now. The 10th, yeah! We don't back down. Truth in the beat, fire in the sound. This is the 10th.
Picture a 4-engine turboprop at 10,000 feet, punching straight through the wall of a hurricane, rain like gravel on the fuselage, the plane bucking, and a crew inside calmly dropping instruments down into the storm, so the forecast on your phone knows where it's headed and who needs to leave.
Okay, and I'm guessing there's a catch, or you wouldn't be opening on it.
The catch is the plane. It was built in the mid-1970s. It is older than most of the people flying it. And there are two of them. Two aircraft, both past 50 years old, are what this country sends into the eye of a hurricane.
Two? For the whole country?
Right. And this week, the Senate finally took up the question of what happens when they wear out. This is the 10th from Amendment.app, your briefing for Sunday, July 19th on what Congress and the states actually did this week.
And it was a strange week to cover, right? Because the statehouses are mostly empty.
They are. Most legislatures are gone until the fall. So the busiest rooms in the country this week were in Washington, committee rooms. Congress was in a markup week. And here's the thing, almost none of what moved was the fight you saw on cable. It was the plumbing, hurricane planes, generic drugs, a sign-off your insurance makes you wait on, a rural emergency room, the quiet machinery most people never think about until it fails.
So that's the through line, not a theme somebody assigned, just that's genuinely what the week was.
Right. Committee rooms doing the country's quiet work. Let's start with the planes.
Senate Bill 4802, it's called the Hurricane Hunter Aircraft Recapitalization Act, got its hearing in the Senate Commerce Committee on Wednesday. And to understand it, you have to understand what these planes do.
Which is fly into the storm. But why? Don't we have satellites?
We do, and satellites see the storm from the outside, the top of it, from space. But to actually know a hurricane's pressure, its wind field, exactly where the center sits, someone has to go inside and measure. That's NOAA's job, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And it comes down to two 4-engine turboprops that fly through the eyewall, the most violent ring of the storm.
The mid-70s planes?
Those two. Count the high-altitude jet that flies above the storm, and the entire Hurricane Hunter fleet is 3 aircraft. Total. 3. That's it. So the bill, put up by 6 senators from both parties, Maria Cantwell and Ted Cruz among them, would authorize $2.5 billion for as many as 6 new aircraft starting in 2027, plus about $45 million a year to keep them flying. And the reason to care isn't really the planes.
No. It's the forecast. The measurements those crews take from inside the storm are what sharpen the cone. The difference between telling 3 coastal counties to evacuate and telling 30. As the storms get stronger and the summers get hotter, the country's ability to see inside them is riding on 2 airframes from the Ford administration. That's the biggest machine the government flies. The next story is the smallest transaction there is. A kid paying for lunch. And it's the one we slow down for. House Bill 2296, out of Hawaii, sponsored by House Speaker Nadine Nakamura, and enacted this week as Act 236. Picture the line at a school cafeteria.
Okay.
The kids whose families earn the least already move through that line for free, or close to it. Federal and state programs cover them. This law is about the kid one notch up. The family that earns a little too much to qualify for help and pays the full sticker price for a lunch tray, every single day.
The family that's fine on paper.
Fine on paper. 2 incomes, a mortgage, nobody qualifying for anything. And here's the mechanic. It's smaller than it sounds and bigger than it looks. Hawaii law used to require the State Department of Education to charge those full-price students at least half of what it actually costs to make each meal. Act 236 drops that floor from at least half the cost down to no more than a quarter. and the state picks up the rest.
So the price at the counter just falls.
The price at the counter falls, in some cafeterias by roughly half, and the difference doesn't come out of that child's pocket or that family's month. Sit in that for a second, because this is who the bill is actually for. It's not the family in crisis, there are programs for them. It's the family that's fine on paper and still runs the arithmetic. 5 lunches a week times 2 kids times a school year, and feels it.
$1 or $2 off a tray doesn't make the news.
It never makes the news, but it lands in exactly the household that's too comfortable for help and too stretched not to notice. That's the whole idea of Act 236. Not a rescue, just the state quietly deciding that a hot lunch shouldn't be a line item a working family has to watch. And every kid in that line pays the same lower price. No form to fill out, no counter where the ones who need help get sorted from the ones who don't.
Let's do the 2 health bills together because you said they rhyme.
They rhyme. 2 bills that moved in committee this week aimed at the same exact feeling. A doctor said yes, and something on paper is making you wait anyway. First one, Senate Bill 30014, the Ensuring Timely Access to Generics Act. It went before the Senate Health Committee Wednesday.
Generics, the cheap version of a drug once the patent's up?
Right, and here's the quiet trick it targets. When a cheaper generic is about to reach the market, a brand name drug maker can file a last-minute objection with the FDA. It's called a citizen petition, dressed up as a safety concern. And while the agency works through it, the generic sits in limbo and the brand's monopoly runs a little longer. The bill lets the FDA throw out a petition it decides was filed mainly to delay a competitor and puts a 60-day clock on the whole thing. Shaheen, Collins, and Baldwin are behind it, 2 Democrats and a Republican.
And the one that rhymes with it?
House Bill 3514, the Improving Seniors' Timely Access to Care Act. Markup in House Ways and Means, same week. This one's about prior authorization. The sign-off a Medicare Advantage plan makes you get before it'll cover care your doctor already ordered. Those delays leave older patients waiting on treatment or denied it outright, even though the physician said yes.
So it's the same story, different villain.
The same story, different villain. A drug company in one, an insurer in the other, but the experience on the receiving end is identical. The yes has been given, and the paperwork is the thing standing in the door. Both bills are bipartisan, and both are the kind of fix that only ever happens in a committee room nobody's watching.
Next one, and I want you to put a person in it before I give you the bill. It's 2 a.m. in a rural county. The nearest hospital that used to have a labor and delivery ward closed it years ago. They've been closing all over the country. So when a pregnant woman hits an emergency, the ambulance takes her to the only ER there is.
Staffed by people who, don't deliver babies?
Staffed by good people who are ready for a heart attack or a car wreck and who do not, as a routine matter, deliver babies. That gap between the emergency and the expertise is where Senate Bill 380 lives, the Rural Obstetrics Readiness Act, taken up in the Senate this week.
Who's behind it?
4 Democrats and 4 Republicans. Hassan, Collins, Britt, Smith, Capito among them. And it does 2 concrete things about that 2 a.m. It trains and equips those rural ERs for obstetric emergencies. And it funds a pilot that lets the clinician in the room pull a maternal fetal specialist onto video in real time. Expert hands guiding the delivery without the expert being in the building.
It doesn't bring the maternity wards back.
It doesn't. The wards that closed are closed. What it does is make sure the ER that's left isn't facing the worst 10 minutes of a family's life alone, and land the number where it means the most. 8 senators, split evenly down the middle, 4 and 4, on a bill about the room a rural mother actually ends up in.
And then there's the one that made everybody stop scrolling.
The strange one? House Bill 6251 got a hearing in a House Natural Resources Subcommittee this Wednesday. And here's what it would do. Reopen U.S. imports of polar bear trophies, the hides, the heads, from sport hunts up in Canada. Right now, those are barred at the American border because the polar bear is a threatened species under the Endangered Species Act.
So, real question, why is Congress spending a hearing on polar bear rugs?
And the honest answer is to describe the bill, not to guess at anyone's motive. It's narrow. It only reaches back to trophies from hunts before 2008, the year the polar bear got listed. So it's aimed at hides that have been stuck in limbo, legally taken under Canadian rules, but frozen at the U.S. line for going on 2 decades. The sponsors, led by Alaska's Nick Begich, call it clearing out old paperwork. Critics see a threatened species carve-out.
And we're not going to referee that.
We're not going to litigate it on air. What's true is that a subcommittee of Congress spent part of its week on it, and that it's exactly the kind of thing you only ever find if somebody's reading the markup calendar. It cleared its first step. Whether it goes any further is the thing to watch.
One state bill to close on, and it's brand new, introduced this week in Pennsylvania. You know how most pay transparency laws stop at a salary range? The listing says the job pays $60,000 to $70,000 and leaves it there.
Right.
House Bill 2700 goes one step past the number everybody fixates on, to the number that quietly eats it. It would require any employer with 15 or more workers to spell out right there in the job posting what the health coverage actually costs the person taking the job. The monthly premium, how much the employer pays versus how much comes out of your paycheck, the deductible, the co-pays, your annual out-of-pocket maximum.
Because two jobs at the same salary can pay completely differently once the health plan comes out.
And today you usually don't find that out until you're already hired reading the benefits packet. It's early. This is an introduced bill for Pennsylvania sponsors, not a law. But it's a genuinely new idea about what does it pay is even supposed to mean. Worth flagging while it's still a first draft.
A few numbers to land with from this week. 3. The total number of aircraft in the nation's Hurricane Hunter fleet. $2.5 billion, what Senate Bill 4802 would spend to replace them. 1/4, the new ceiling, down from 1/2 on what Hawaii can charge a full-price kid for lunch. 60 days, the clock Senate Bill 30014 would put on the FDA petitions used to stall a generic drug. And 8, the senators behind the Rural Obstetrics Bill. 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans.
Where did the public push this week? Per ResistBot's top petitions, the loudest theme was public health capacity, a multi-state stomach bug outbreak, and calls to restore CDC funding and staffing, right alongside a run of petitions asking whether Congress should have to tell you when a member is hospitalized and can't do the job. And under all of it, the summer's backdrop. The worst wildfire smoke outbreak in 50 years, choking the Midwest and the Northeast, with one Minnesota monitor spiking past an air quality index of 3,000.
Which honestly rhymes with the hurricane planes. It's all whether the systems that watch out for us are staffed to do it.
It is. And one quick follow-up on a story from last week. We covered New Jersey moving to make AI data centers pay for the power they pull off the grid, instead of smearing that cost onto everybody's household bill. This week, New York's Governor Kathy Hochul went further. An executive order signed July 14th, creating the first statewide moratorium on new hyperscale data centers, while the state writes tougher rules. 2 states, 2 weeks, same fight over who pays for the grid these things strain.
A patchwork forming in real time.
In real time. So go back to that turboprop. In the eyewall. 50 years old. One of 2. A crew inside, dropping instruments into the storm so a family 3 counties away knows whether to leave. That's what most of this week actually was. Not the fight on cable, but the quiet machinery. A plane, a lunch line, a sign-off, a rural ER, and a handful of people in committee rooms deciding whether it holds.
For the full text, status, and plain English breakdown of any bill we mentioned today, head to amendment.app.
Thanks for listening to The 10th. We'll see you next Sunday.
If they lock the gate, we move as one. If they change the rules, we don't run. No more borrowed truth, no more fake grace. We raise our flags in a different place. Today